Hey everyone, it's Daniel Brother Barbaris. In this next video, we'll be doing driver layout and operating systems. Now, in order to find out what your make and model is on your machine so that we can lay out our driver groups correctly, I have this command here that you can run on any machine that you're going to be deploying to. So what we'll do is we're going to open up a PowerShell or Windows PowerShell, whichever one you want to do. And what this is going to do is going to lay out for us what our make and model is. Now I want you to make note, if you're deploying to a certain model, look for the model name here and look for the manufacturer here. Now I've made sure that these were correct for our HP machines, but I didn't have Lenovo or the Dell machines to make sure that when I lay these out they're correct. Okay, I made some assumptions with Dell Inc., which I've seen on previous models, and I know that Lenovo most of the time capitalizes their entire manufacturer name in the BIOS. They also usually use the ThinkPad and then a model number, but sometimes I've seen them just use a model. Same thing with Dell. So when I get to those portions and I have it set up for the names of the machines, I know that this is correct for HP. HP is Z8 G4 workstation. But when I get to Dell or Lenovo, as I've said, so here's Dell, I put latitude 7640, and I believe that is correct. And I believe that the top layer would be Dell Inc. With a period. If that is not correct, make sure you can verify that, and you can just change the name when you get to it. As far as Lenovo, as I said, T460S, and I believe that they do it this way, ThinkPad T460S, but if they just do the number, let me know. But make sure that you run this command on any machine that you're going to deploy to first so that you can verify. Okay? So let's get started. That was just a little sidebar. So you're going to make sure you note the manufacturer and the model. All right? So let's get to our operating systems. Okay? So first things first, we're going to open up File Explorer. We're going to browse to our G drive, Share, Operating Systems, Windows 10 folder. And what we're going to do is we're going to double click on our ISO here. Click up here, select all, copy. Now you can, in Windows 10, of course, you can right click and copy. Okay, and what we're going to do is going to right click and paste in that 22H20. We can click more details as I placed here. Give that a few moments. Shouldn't take long since it's copying directly from the drive that it's on. Of course, it gets slower with those smaller files, and that's okay. And there we go. Now over here, you see the DVD H drive. Right click on that and click eject. Now we're going to do our Windows 11. So let's click on Operating Systems, Windows 11, double click our ISO, select all, copy, back arrow, right click on the 23H2 folder, and paste. And we'll wait on that one. Now, while these are copying, I'll explain what we're going to do. On the Windows Server 2022, we're actually going to do some offline servicing to enable BitLocker and BitLocker utilities in the ISO, or I should say the install WIM that we're going to be importing into MDT. And the reason why we do that is because by default, the server operating system doesn't have BitLocker enabled right off the bat. So we want to make sure we enable that first so that when we deploy, we don't have to worry about setting it up and capturing another image. Okay, so now we're here, right click H, eject, go back to operating systems, and now we're going to do our server 2022 ISO. Double click, select all, copy, click our back arrow, right click on our 21H2 and paste that as well. Okay, we'll wait for that to be done. So what this is going to do, this is going to be it's going to create a mount folder. It's going to use the dism command to mount our install WIM, index 2, which is desktop experience, like we have on our servers here. It's going to enable the Windows optional features of BitLocker and the BitLocker utilities, all of them. It'll unmount that, and then it'll remove that mount folder for us, okay? So we're here. We're going to click on H, eject. We're good. Close this Explorer window. Right click on Terminal. Go to Windows PowerShell. And what we're going to do is we're going to copy from the end of 52 up to 47. Just like that. And paste. Okay. We'll give that a few moments. We're going to it already created the mount folder. Right now it's going to use the Deployment Image Servicing and Management, or DISM, command. It's going to mount the image, and I'm going to let that go through, and once it's done and we're at the exit command, I'll come back. Okay, you can see it's enabling the features now. I'll be back in a moment. Okay, and we're back, and it looks like everything is successful. 100% here, saving, unmounting. Operation completed successfully. Remove the directory, and we can just press enter to exit, and we're good to go there. So let's go to start. We'll open up our deployment workbench. Okay. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go to our operating systems. We're going to Windows 10, 22H2, and we're going to right click there. Okay. Import operating systems, full set of source files. Next, we're going to copy this path, which is that 22H2 folder we just copied our extracted ISO to. I'm going to type Win10 Pro X64. Next, next, and let that import. And there we are. Now, of course, this is going to import all of our indexes from that disk. So we're going to remove all but the one we want to use, which is the Windows 10 Pro. Okay, so click Finish. Now we're going to highlight all of these by dragging our mouse up. We're going to look for Windows 10 Pro in Win10 Pro X64 install WIM. Hold down your Control key and click that once. Then we're going to right click on the rest of them and just click Delete, Next, and Next. Finish. And now we're going to rename it to just Windows Pro install WIM. So right click, rename, Control V to paste, and press enter, and we're good there. Okay. Now we're going to do Windows 11. So let's expand here, 23H2, right click, import operating system, full set of source files. Same thing, we're going to copy this folder, Control V to paste, next, Win 11 Pro X64 for our directory name, next, next, let that import. And the same thing, it's going to import all of the indexes, and we only want the Windows 11 Pro. Now, of course, we're going to be able to install Windows 11 and Windows 10 Pro, but we'll also be able to install Windows 10 and Windows 11 Enterprise with the same Pro install WIM because they contain the SKUs for all of them. Okay, so don't worry about that. We'll set that up. So click your mouse, hold it down. Then we're going to look for Windows Pro right here, Control, click, then right click the rest, delete, next, and there we are. Okay, so we're going to rename it to Windows 11 Pro install Wim. We'll copy that, right click, rename, Control V to paste, press enter, and we're good. Okay, now we'll do our Windows Server 2022. We're going to import the standard Wim, but we'll be able to install both standard and data center with that. Okay, so click here, 21H2, import operating systems, full set of source files. We're going to copy this folder here, paste, next. We're going to type SRV right here. You can copy this if you want. Paste that, next, next. And this should have, I believe, 4 instances or 4 indexes, which are data center core, standard core, and data center with desktop as well as standard with desktop. And we're going to only worry about the server standard. Okay, there we go. So highlight all of these. Just look for this one here, server standard, control, then right click, delete. There we are, next. And don't worry that we're removing data center because we'll be able to upgrade this during our task sequence. Okay, so we're going to rename this one to Windows Server 2022 Standard Install Wim. Rename, Control V, press enter, and there we are. Okay, now we're going to go down here to task sequences. So click, then right click our task sequence, new task sequence. Okay, we're going to call this, actually, sorry, cancel. We're going to click a new folder. So new folder, client dash pro, next, next, finish. Okay, we're going to do the same thing. New folder, client dash enterprise. There we go. And one last one. New folder, server. Okay, so there we are. We have our folders. Now we're going to go and we're going to click expand here, click on Pro, and then new task sequence. We're going to call this Win10 Pro X64. And on the task sequence name, you can copy this. Windows 10 Pro 64-bit 22H2. Next. Okay, we're going to use a standard client task sequence. Next. Expand Windows 10 22H2. Click on our Wim. Next. We're over here right now. Okay. So next, our full name is going to be MDT Lab User. Then organization MDT Lab. Next, do not specify administrator password because we already did that in our rules. Next, next, and finish. Okay, there's our first task sequence. Now we're going to do the same thing for Windows 11. So, new task sequence. We're going to do Win 11 Pro X64. We'll copy this one here. Paste. Next. Standard client. Expand Windows 11. There we go. Next. Do not specify. Next. We'll MDT Lab User. MDT Lab for organization. Next. Do not specify an administrator account. Next. And finish. Okay. Now we're going to do our enterprise. So we're going to right click, new task sequence, Win10 Ent X64. So this will be our enterprise. Paste that there. Next, standard client. Next, expand Windows 10 to 22H2 and select Pro as well. Like I said, it contains the SKUs for enterprise. Do not specify a product key. MDT Lab User. MDT Lab. Next. no administrator password, next, and there we are. And we'll go here to Windows 11, new task sequence, same thing, Win11 ent x64. We're going to copy here, paste, next, standard client, next, Windows 11 23H2 Pro, next, do not specify product key, MDT lab user, MDT lab, next, do not specify password, next, and finish. Okay, we've got now all of our client installs, and now we're going to go to our server. So let's click here on server, then right click, new task sequence. This one we're going to call serve 2022 DC for data center. Okay, we're going to copy here, paste, next, we're going to click on the drop down. We're going to go into the standard server task sequence. Okay, next, server 21H2, click here, next, do not specify, MDT lab user, MDT lab, next, no administrator password, next, and there we go. Now we're going to go down here for server 2022 standard. So next, let's copy this here, paste, same thing here, paste, next, drop down, standard server task sequence, next, select server task or server operating system, do not specify a product key, MDT lab user, MDT lab, next, no administrator password, next, next, and finish. And that's it for creating our task sequences. We'll of course be customizing those in video 12. All right, and now what we're going to do is we're going to grab some drivers. Okay, so let's minimize Deployment Workbench. We're going to open up Edge. We're going to copy this URL, and this is where HP has its driver packs. Okay, so I'm going to click on Find on Page on Settings, and I'm going to look for the HP Z8 G4 workstation. And there it is. Excuse me. All right. So we're going to grab the Windows 11 64-bit and Windows 10. All right. So let's click here on this executable, save as. We're going to click on Drivers, HP, and we're going to click Save here. Okay. We're going to do the same thing for 147415, which is the Windows 10 one. Click on that. Give that a few moments. Save as. There we go. Okay. While that's doing that, I'm going to minimize this. We're going to go to our G drive. Okay. We're going to go to Drivers. We're going to go to HP. We're going to create a new folder. So right here, right click, new folder. We're going to call it HP Z8 G4 Workstation. Paste that. There we are. Okay. And I'll come back when these are downloaded. Now, like I said, these ones here are simply as an example. So you do not have to download these ones. Okay. Same thing with any of the models that we're doing right now. If you have a model in mind that you'd like to deploy to, of course, when we get to your make, which will be, I'm going to go through HP, Dell, and Lenovo. If you find the make of the machine you want, and you say, hey, I don't have one of those machines, I have a ZBook. So you can say ZBook, and, let's say I have a ZBook G5, right? There it is. So you're going to look for that particular model. And you're going to look, oh, Windows 10 drivers. Now remember, Windows 10 drivers will work just fine in Windows 11. So you're fine there, okay? So let's come back when that's done. I'm going to minimize this again and give it a few moments. Okay, and we're back, and we're going to highlight, cut, so right click, cut, and we're going to paste those in our Z8 workstation folder. There we go. Okay, and now what we're going to do is we're going to right click on this one here, go to 7-zip, extract files, and click OK, and give that a few moments to extract. All right. Shouldn't take too long. And there we are. Now we're going to shift and click on the first one. Click delete, hold down shift, yes. And that way it doesn't go to the recycle bin. We're going to do the same thing with our 415. So right click, extract files, okay. Give that a few moments. I'll fix this here. Looks like we put the other name, and that's okay. Save, and I'll re-upload that file. That's fine. We're going to shift, delete, and there we are. Okay. So we can close this Explorer window, and we're going to click our deployment workbench in taskbar. We're going to go here to out-of-box drivers. We're going to go to HP. We're going to expand that. We're going to go to Windows 10, HP Z8 workstation. Click, then right click on that. Import drivers. And we're going to highlight the folder name here. Paste. Next. Next. And it's going to start importing those drivers. And I'll come back when it's completely done. I'm going to wait for it to start here before there it goes. Okay. And I'll see you in a few moments. Okay, and that one's done. You say it's process completed with 3 warnings. 99% of those warnings can be ignored. Usually they have something to do with x86, which we're not using. So we're good to go there. Okay, and you'll see those drivers are not populated. Now we're going to do the Windows 11 drivers. So let's go here, HP G4 or Z8 G4 workstation, right click, import drivers. We'll go to our second folder, import, next, next, and away we go. I'll wait for that to start importing, and then we'll be back as soon as it's done. There's our first driver, and there we go. And we're back, and our Windows 11 is done. And there we are, populated. Now let's get to our Dell. Okay, so I'm going to minimize one more time. Let's open up this window here, and we're going to copy this URL and paste that here. And this is our Dell family driver packs. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to find on this page 7640. There we are. And we're going to look for A08. Of course, if you're looking at this in the future, it's the one right here. We're going to click on that, save as. And as you can see, A08 and A08 are the only two, and it's for both Windows 10 and Windows 11, which is fine. Okay, we're going to save this to our Dell folder. So I'm going to change that. Okay, like I said, I'll re-upload this. I did this fairly quickly. So we're going to click save that there. Okay, so let me move up and let me show you something. So if you go up here, you'll see Windows 11 and Windows 10. Okay, but the drivers are exactly the same for both, which is fine, because in here, what we're going to do is we're going to import the drivers into the folder And then when we copy them and paste them here, it'll paste just a pointer. So it doesn't copy the files over again. It just copies a pointer to where those files are imported. And that way we're not using up space, but we can keep our drivers nice and separated. Okay, so let's browse. We're going to go to our G drive, our share. We're going to go to drivers. We're going to go to Dell. We're going to right click, new folder, latitude 7640. We're going to cut that zip file, paste it in there. There we go. And what we'll do, we're going to right click on it, 7-zip, extract files, same thing, extracted there. We're going to right click, delete, actually, there it's extracting. Keep an eye on that. It was behind the window, and that's fine. So let that extract. Now we can shift click, delete, hold down shift, make sure that's good. Okay. We're going to close this Explorer window. We're going to reopen our deployment workbench. And now we're going to go to our Dell Inc. Windows 10, latitude 7640, import drivers. We'll copy that folder path. So let me do this here. Out of box drivers. Okay. And I'm going to fix, like I said, I'm going to fix this for you. So click on drivers. Sorry about that. There we go. Okay, there we go. Import drivers. We're going to copy this folder, paste, next, next. And while that's doing that, I'm going to re-upload this to my OneDrive. File, upload, and there we go. Replace. And that way you guys have the newest version with those fixes. Okay. And I'll be back when this is complete. Okay, and there we are. So we'll click Finish. And now what we're going to do is we're going to click on the top update. We'll scroll all the way to the bottom. Shift click the bottom update. Right click. Copy. We're going to go here to Windows 11. I'm sorry, up here, latitude 7640, Windows 11. Right click and paste. And because it's just copying pointers and not the drivers themselves, you can see it takes a lot less time. Okay, so give that a moment. And loading items. There we are. So now we have both in the different locations, but only one set of drivers. So it's good to go. Now we're going to go to Lenovo. So Lenovo has really good WinPE drivers. I don't know how good their other drivers are. Let's find out. So we click here. This is their support page for SCCM as well as MDT. Okay. And I'm going to close this here. And what we're going to do is we're going to find, so click here, find on page, T460S, which our friend Ahmed has. And you can see that here. I'm going to go to the second index, as I've said here, not the first one, because this is the WinPE drivers. We want the actual drivers for the machine, which are here. Okay. If I scroll up a bit, you can see Windows 10 and Windows 11 are on the very far right, okay? So just scroll down until you see that again. There it is. And we're just going to click here, 64-bit. Now remember, this model, Ahmed, only supports Windows 10, not Windows 11. So we're going to get the newest Windows 10 drivers. So what we'll do is find on this page, we're going to highlight here, click, find, paste, and you can see here's our newest one, which is version 1909. I'm going to click on download. Okay, I'm going to click cancel and download one more time. That way it starts actually downloading this time. Save as. I'm going to go to drivers, Lenovo. There's our ThinkPad folder we created, and we'll save it there. We already had our WinPE drivers for that model. Now we have our Windows 10 drivers. So give this a moment and I'll be right back. Okay, and for a 1.4 gig file, that didn't take too long. We can now close Edge. We're going to minimize this. We're going to browse to our G drive, share, drivers, Lenovo, ThinkPad 4640, and we're going to right click on the, we're going to double click on the executable. Okay. It's going to ask us where we want to download that to or extract it to. So I'm going to highlight this folder name here that I've created for you. Next, I accept. Next, Control V to paste that folder. Extract. And it's going to create that folder right in here. Okay. And I'll come back when that's done. Okay, and that's extracted. We can click Finish. We can Shift and right click on this executable, delete, yes, and there we are. Okay, close the Explorer window, click on the Deployment Workbench in our taskbar, and now we're going to go down to here to ThinkPad. Okay, and actually, that's our WinPE drivers here. Okay, so we're going to right click, cut, go up here, Lenovo, ThinkPad, and paste those there. Okay, click here, right click, refresh, give that a moment, and they're gone. Okay, sorry about that. I didn't notice that I had imported those into this folder instead of the WinPE folder, and that's okay. They're now here. All right, so let's go to Windows 10, right click, import drivers, browse, G, drivers. We're going to go, actually, we can cancel this. I actually put the folder name for you so you don't have to worry about this. Browse, there we go. Next, next, and it's going to import the drivers for that model. And I'll be back in just a few moments. As I've said previously, if you see these warnings, they're not errors, they're just warnings. It's talking about usually the x86 platform, how it's not supported, and that's fine because we're not using x86, and it won't import that anyway into the 64-bit drivers. Okay, we made a few little hiccups when we did our importing, but that's good because that just shows you we're doing things and getting them done, and sometimes things get messy and we fix them and then continue. Okay, don't let a snag or a misspelling on something or a hiccup discourage you from continuing what you're doing. That's how you learn. Okay, so as soon as this is done, I'll come back and we'll just click finish. In our next video, we're going to get to the real nitty gritty of our task sequences. Okay, so give it a few moments. Okay, and we're back, and that's completed. Let's click finish. Wait for the drivers to populate. There we are. We're good. Okay, I'm going to minimize some of these like that. I'm going to close my deployment workbench, and then we'll come back in the next video and start our task sequences. I'll talk to you later.